Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Happy Monday, the 11th of August. All right, a couple quick sound checks here. Make sure we are G to G. Good morning there, Lorna. Thank you for all the help over the weekend. What's up, Mr. Mirza? All right, guys. Hope you had a good weekend. We got some NFL preseason, which is, to me at least, very exciting. Broncos got the Week 1 dub. But all right, y'all, we'll jump in here. I think shaping up to be an interesting week. So first things first on the leaderboard. Let's go take a peek here, and we are in a bull market. No surprises there. In terms of at the moment, what's trying to lead the way higher? Index-wise, you have the QQQ and the S&Ps. They're by far your strongest. And then sector-wise, it's your Big 10 basket, XLK, gold, semiconductors, and XLC. Minus gold, a lot of that big tech, big semi focus. Looking at the Big 10 basket, and you've got a good-looking Google, Broadcom, NVIDIA, Meta, TSM. I mean, frankly, Apple's pretty good at 80%. Tesla's shaping up. Microsoft, not too bad. Netflix getting better. And then, which I'll show you guys, pretty good-looking monthly squeeze shaping up there for Amazon. Brand new monthly squeeze. But the knowing things could change at any moment, of course. The things that are trying to lead the way higher right now, these are, for me, the things I usually trade the best. Where is my trade sheet? Let's see, compounding growth. There we go. So looking at my stats here, when I trade things that are in the think the energy sector, industrials, consumer staples, healthcare. When I trade things that are not that aren't the S&P's QQQ, big tech, big semis, or as I call them, the Big 10. Here's my results: 28 closed trades, and we're looking at like a 50% win rate. So it's kind of like a big coin flip, a big wash. And here's some Procter & Gamble, T-Mobile, Southwest Airlines. You got the Starbucks. You've got some GameStop, some Roku, some Baba. I trade these kinds of things. I'm looking at about a 50% win rate. When we trade the indexes in the Big 10, now we're closer to an 80% win rate. Think the NVIDIAs, the Broadcoms, the Googles, the Cash QQQ, the NASDAQ futures. So again, knowing things could change at any point this week, into the week here, the things I like to trade the most, the things I trade the best, they're trying to lead the market higher. Till things change makes my job, I think, pretty easy. So here's the overall focus list. We have the SMH, Amazon, Google, QQQ, S&Ps, XLK, NVIDIA, Broadcom, Apple, Netflix. It's a Big 10 basket in the indexes. My favorites. And I think, by far, I think two of these setups are more important than all the others. And one would be the daily squeeze here for the QQQ. You could look at Cash QQ. You could look at the NASDAQ futures. And for the most part, the indicator points towards they do want to go and break it out. There's just, one little important thing missing. Check all the pretty colors, and we have 13 points out of 15. That's pretty bullish. Check all the trend criteria, really good trend. Check the structure. Structure is nice and bullish. The only thing we're missing for the immediate, big breakout, big leg higher would be momentum. We had a really, really strong daily squeeze back here in June. Back in June, you had everything. Daily squeeze in an uptrend, good structure, and a lot of momentum. So if y'all look down here at the squeeze histogram, we got a negative cross back here on the 31st. MACD bars go back to the sell side. As we've seen, that doesn't mean the market's going to fall apart. They can keep their support. They can keep their structure. Point I'm trying to make is if we're looking for a big move into, say, let's go jump to Cash QQQ. Do I think we could rally and tag maybe 580 without actually getting that momentum shift? I think we could. But if we're trying to call for something, maybe a little bit more like back here, Clean breakout, big pump, good, 2, 3 weeks of upside. To get that kind of action, I think we do got to get momentum. MACD bars back above zero, get the buy trigger. Then I think they're in great shape. So again, that's the only little thing that could be a little bit better. But putting that aside, keeping it simple, I think in terms of next 1, 2 to 3 weeks, daily squeeze here for the cash QQQ and the Nasdaq futures. I think really important, and then maybe a little bit more important to me, if we look at the chart of that Big Ten basket. All right, so here's Broadcom, Nvidia, Amazon, all these guys. All those guys in a weighted basket. I always have my best and my biggest trades when this basket lines up. Good example is the weekly squeeze from last year. That November, December weekly squeeze. There's collectively all my favorite stocks. Bigger time frame, big squeeze, as bullish as possible. And that led to my first six-figure month. So for me, good things can happen when this basket's trying to get going. And at the moment, we have a daily, a 4-hour, and a 15-minute squeeze. 15-minute, maybe, neither here nor there. But if we go to the daily time frame, no guarantee it breaks out and fires long. But till things change, the indicator would like it. 15 points out of the 15. All of the structure, momentum, the trend, big squeeze. I would look at that and try to call for a path into 119, 120. If they can get that move going, that would imply another 3 to 3.5% upside in the overall group. And the goal isn't, all right, I'm going to go buy some Apple, some Amazon, some Nvidia, some Meta, some Netflix. The job is, all right, if the basket overall looks really bullish, then I'm jumping back to that leaderboard. Who's maybe top 2, 3, 4, or 5? Right now, the focus would be Google, then Broadcom, then Nvidia, then Meta, and you kind of keep on working down from there. So good looking on the daily squeeze, and then for the 4-hour chart, one of my favorite combos actually. Daily squeeze with a good looking 4-hour squeeze inside of it. I like that. 4-hour chart has the 15 points, all the pretty colors, got the white arrow. Again, doesn't guarantee it has to break out, but it paints a picture of something trying to break out. But yeah, for me, those are, I think, the two most important charts, maybe for the next couple of weeks. If they do take these squeezes, they do break them out, and we're getting that good 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-day pump. Great window of opportunity to go buy a 30-minute squeeze on Google, 15-minute squeezes on Nvidia, daily squeezes on Meta, all the above. So for me, that'll be the overall focus, and then go through a few more here. Of course, a big piece of the puzzle is the semiconductors. Another one, monthly squeeze setting up, a daily, a 4-hour. And then checking the sector rankings. We've got the SMH in 4th place with a very respectable 90%. Okay, to the SMH we go. Thinking SMH, you're thinking NVIDIA's, Broadcom's, AMD's, Qualcomm's, SMCI's, all of the crowd favorites. Now, as you all know, it's a bigger picture time frame. The key thing with these monthly squeezes, you got to consider the fact they could pull the SMH back to about 250. That's a good 15, 16% pullback off the top. Nothing changes. The indicator would scream you want to buy that 15% pullback. Big monthly squeeze in the compression phase. All the energy being built up, doing that in a really good uptrend. You've got great chart structure, good foundation, stacked EMAs, and you've got the momentum. Nothing says it has to break out, and then nothing says it has to break out in a big straight line. All signs point towards, yeah, it's going to break out, it's going to fire long. And I think all said and done, if it does fire long, this is up here 325, 350. But again, nothing about that path forward, nothing about the probabilities of that monthly squeeze trying to fire long. Nothing about that changes until you're breaking back below like 230-ish. Bigger picture time frame, you can get a bigger picture move. You maybe got to sit through a decent pullback. So take that monthly squeeze as context, then drill down to something a little bit more short term. 15-minute squeezes, 4-hour charts, daily charts. And I think a great spot to buy it here could be this daily squeeze. But there's one little thing missing. That sweet momentum. Beautiful trend, great structure, big squeeze. Can they get it into $300 without that momentum cross? They maybe can. If we're trying to catch something like this, they break it out, they pump it, and they pump it some more. They pump it some more. They pull back. They hold it. They pump it again. They pump it again. That kind of sustainable action. You're pretty much looking for everything to be locked and loaded. Perfect trend, perfect structure, bunch of squeezes, and the Momo. So here's what I would love. We wake up one morning, we look here at the SMH daily squeeze. They've got that momentum shift, they got the white or the green arrow. Again, I think a great time to buy it in the context of a bigger monthly squeeze. And if anything, guys, if they can get that daily squeeze going, that might be our last chance. Last chance to jump in, build into a long before the monthly squeeze breaks out. So I'm liking everything about that one. And then real quick look here at the 4-hour. Okay, so for a big sustainable move higher, what's missing here on that 4-hour chart? It's not the structure. No issues in the structure. It's not your trend. Momentum, and we haven't had a bull momentum since the beginning of June. The MACD kicks off a bear cycle. And give the SMH credit. You don't see it falling apart. You're not taking out support. You're not breaking structure. You're not shifting the trend. It's not doing anything all that bearish, but you're not getting that nonstop gap it up, pump it kind of action. Very, very, very tough to get that when you're lacking momentum. So you go from the easy stuff, wake up, buy a call, hit the beach, come back, take your paycheck, and then they try to pop it and they flush it. They hold it, they go for a breakout, they pull it back in, they pop it back in, they pop it. Any point this week or next week, you get momentum here on that 4-hour SMH back in the favor of the bulls. Doesn't mean they got to break out, but gives the bulls a little bit more of a kick. So watching the SMH very closely, and then XLK, the big tech ETF, is the virtually the same exact setup. With the caveat being this monthly squeeze actually fired. Right, very, very bigger picture thinking. We can maybe be in a moment in time like back here. You had a monthly squeeze, it fired on that candle. You're looking up 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 months down the road. It led to a big move. And they crank in, they pull back, they chop it. You get another monthly squeeze. It fired long on that candle. And you're looking up 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 months down the road. It led to a really big move. Here's the kicker. This is a very, very bullish monthly chart down to about 220. Do I think we're on the verge of a 15% pullback? Not really. But things you at least want to keep in mind. And then dropping down to the daily squeeze. Like the SMH, like the XLK. Waiting on that momentum. But I love the SMH. I love the Cash QQQ. I'm liking the XLK. And then a few of the heavy hitters in those groups. Big time action here from Google last week. Let's clean up Google. All right, so I don't really have a short-term entry here. No pullback to a buy zone yet. No 30-minute squeeze, no hourly squeeze. Bigger picture. One of the better looking monthly charts I think you'll find. Pull back to support, squeeze it. 45, 50% push off the buy zone. You pull it back, you pop, you chop for a bit. Now they may be going for round two, right? Back in the compression. You've got the same structure, same momentum, same uptrend. They pulled it back about 15% to $1.70. Nothing changes. It'll crush your short-term calls, but in terms of the monthly chart, nothing really changes. Putting aside some drastic change in the market, I think you're looking up here, November, December, January. And Google is a 225, 230 plus dollar stock. So there's your backdrop. Really good, really bullish monthly squeeze. Now, how can I go about playing that in the short term? And it's pretty easy. Give me a pullback, give me a 15-minute squeeze entry, 30-minute squeeze entry. But really try to hone in on Google. Imagine you're back here for that 5 or 6 month period after that squeeze fired, and you're taking every pullback to an hourly 21, you're buying every 30-minute, 15-minute squeeze, buying every daily, weekly squeeze. You're working that short-term game with a lot of wind at your back. I think makes for some of your best trading. So Google looking pretty. Let's go jump over to Broadcom, which we picked up some Broadcom back on Friday. All right, Broadcom. So leaderboard says I am in a bull market and my strongest index is QQQ. All right, so by default, I'm not thinking about getting short. And I maybe want to focus a little bit more on buying a tech name than a down name. Down name, a small cap. So bull market, QQQ leads a charge. Till things change, my strongest sectors are the Big 10 basket, XLK, gold, the SMH, and XLC. So again, remove gold. It's just big tech. Big tech and the chips. Okay, so bull market, led by QQQ. Go a little bit deeper, led by big tech, big semis. Go a little bit deeper. And our best names are Google, Broadcom, NVIDIA, Meta. So think in terms of how many layers of edge can I stack on top of each other to make a trade? Well, I'm doing a webinar on Thursday night. We'll talk more about it in the webinar. What I like about that Broadcom trade we took back on Friday, and here's maybe the toughest thing to grasp about trading. You can do all of these things. The trade does not have to work. But if you can do what Mark Douglas teaches, I've got my system, I've got my edge, and I'm going to grade my system based on every 25, 50, 100 trades I take. If you can do these kinds of things for 50 or 100 trades in a row, I think tough to not be decently profitable. So taking the example here of that Broadcom 4-hour, how many pieces of edge do I have? And I would count it as, all right, I got a squeeze. By default, by itself, I think a squeeze offers edge. We are in the compression phase. We're chopping. We're building up all the energy. We got to call for which direction and when. But by default, that squeeze says, all right, pay attention at some point, trying to give you a decent move. So I get one piece of edge from the squeeze. I get 15 more points of edge from all the criteria. Take it through the trend checklist, take it through the structure checklist. This one's got the full 15. So I've got my 15 directional criteria. I've got my squeeze, there's one more point. I've got the squeeze, the 15 directional criteria, and I've got that at the perfect entry zone. There's, we'll call it 17 things I like. Now take it a step further. I'm getting long in a bull market. Really good QQQ behind it. And I'm doing that in the strongest sector. And I'm doing that in the strongest name in the strongest sector. You add up all those things, there's like 20 different things trying to work in my favor. Then factor in, all right, you've got the full 15 points on the weekly chart. You get the full 15 points on the 1-hour chart. When we do that, we take that approach. That's we have such an edge over the trader who says, "All right, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to run my scan, and I'm going to jump in and buy a good-looking setup." The biggest thing I think I've learned over the last year, good-looking setups can be a dime a dozen. We found one a couple of weeks ago in Kroger. And looking back on it, would I take that trade 100 times in a row? Absolutely not. All that Kroger had working in its favor, it's a good-looking squeeze. Not a huge part of your strongest index, not a big part of your strongest sector. It's not number one on the board. It's just it's a good-looking squeeze. I can give you guys a scan. You can find 50 to 100 plus good-looking squeezes every day. We want to aim to do a little bit better than that. So the process of, all right, first things first, what kind of market am I in? Bullish, bearish, neutral? Am I thinking long? Am I thinking short? Is it a swing trade market, a day trade market? Market context first. Who's my strongest index? Who are my strongest sectors? Within those sectors, who are my strongest stocks? Figure all that out. Then we go play that game of, all right, who's got a good looking 30-minute, 15-minute daily squeeze? Then we go and get to work. So again, for Broadcom here, to me, a great example of, all right, this one moment in time might not work. But every single time I get that opportunity, good market behind it, good sector behind it, all the variables, I'm taking that trade. So Broadcom, we have the 310 calls for Friday. Looking for a pop off the 4-hour chart. And then NVIDIA. Okay, so NVIDIA, I'm in a bull market led by the QQQ. The semiconductors are one of my strongest sectors. And within that pocket, NVIDIA's got a 98% of its strongest possible score. I think a lot to like there. All right, now where can I find the entry on NVIDIA? But I'm not going to go buy NVIDIA just because NVIDIA's got a good-looking squeeze. Give us a good-looking squeeze, all the other things, now we got to trade. And speaking of good-looking squeezes, I think you're watching your 4-hour, 2-hour, and your 15-minute. Looking like 180, 150 here in the pre-market. Well, I tell you what, the one I would really like to buy it on here would be the 4-hour chart. Good structure, good trend. They go get some of that good momentum. That might be one to watch there. But for now, we got the Broadcom, watching the NVIDIA, and then I did want to show you guys the monthly squeeze here for Amazon. Now, the leaderboard says, yeah, Amazon's not bad. It has 45% of its best score. It ain't better than Google. It ain't better than Broadcom, NVIDIA, Meta, TSM, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Netflix, S&Ps, QQQ, XLK, Gold, SMH, XLC. It's not bad, but there's better things on the board. I could buy Amazon today, but I got to make sure I'm checking Google, Broadcom, all the better names first. But here's what I would like to do. In the short term, give Amazon more time to improve. Rebuild some structure, get some buy triggers going, get momentum. Could be something like your first fresh daily buy trigger. You take that first daily buy signal, there's your entry for the monthly squeeze. Brand new squeeze, 15 points. We have the green arrow. 15 points and the entry. But if you compare the short-term chart, Amazon versus Google, Amazon maybe has a little work to do, while the Google here, Google looks good everywhere. 30-minute time frame, weekly chart, daily chart. So I'm not in a big rush to buy Amazon, but if we're looking at it in December and that monthly squeeze took it into 270, I got to make sure some way, shape, or form. We jumped in, caught a piece of that. All right, there's Amazon. A few more for you guys here. Anything in Meta? Meta with a 2-hour hourly, 30-minute, and a 5. Maybe later in the week on the hourly. Maybe on the hourly. And then we'll wrap it up here with. Let's go take a peek at. Looked at Google, looked at Nvidia, looked at Broadcom, looked at Meta, and then how about some Tesla? We'll finish it up here with some Tesla. Again, you follow the leadership here. It's in 7th place. Can I buy it? Yeah, I can buy it, but I want to check the other 6 names first. What I do think with patience could be the play here. With patience maybe being the keyword. Very very sneakily, very quietly, it does begin to print a brand new weekly squeeze. Which I wouldn't have thought looked as good on the indicator. It actually looks pretty good. 13 points into 15. Good trend, good structure. So yeah, if they can get that momentum shift, all of a sudden, we're maybe getting an A+ squeeze here on the Tesla weekly, which could get fun with a target around 420-ish. It's a big lucky number for Tesla, of course. But yeah, that one is slowly trying to shape up. What can make it down the road a little bit more interesting? It's a big triple squeeze. Excuse me, it's a quadruple squeeze. The weekly, the 3-day, the 2-day, and the daily. You got 4 of them bad boys. The 3-day squeeze is, neutral trend, bull structure, bear momentum. A little bit of everything. The 2-day squeeze actually leans pretty bullish. Waiting on momentum, and then lastly, your daily squeeze. Little gap in the 335 this morning. The daily squeeze is just, -2, neutral trend. If they want to go give us a really, really clean 15-minute, 30-minute hourly, I could take that in the short term. The bigger picture here for Tesla, which might just require some patience, would be a buy on the weekly chart if we get that white or that green arrow. For that, we shall wait. But all right, y'all, quick look here at the futures and then anything you want to look at, any chart requests, drop them in the chat. All right, futures, Bitcoin up about 2.5%, gold futures down about 2.5%. Tiny little pop in the S&Ps, little pop here in the NQ. Like I said, the only thing that could be a little bit problematic is, we're going for a breakout into a brand new all-time high, and we haven't gotten that momentum shift. They're not too far off, but we haven't gotten it just yet. And that can make for situations where they rally back to the previous high, rope in all the bulls, come on in, get your calls, water's warm, and then it's a little bit more choppier as opposed to a big breakout. But all right, y'all, you know my focus, you know what I'm looking at. QQQ daily squeeze and the Big 10 basket daily squeeze. For me, pretty much the gauge of everything moving forward this week. They break out, they fire long. I think we're getting good action. They just keep on squeezing. They pop it, they drop it, all that back and forth. Could be a choppier week. If they fail and they turn the corner and break short, I think at that point, Humpty Dumpty's taking a spill. All right, guys, I only got about 2 minutes here, so I gotta try to run through all this real quick. Yeah, I mean, great patience there on Kroger. You are a more patient man than I. Awesome stuff. Hey, what's up, John? Good to see you in here. ABBV. Nice daily squeeze, going for the breakout. Let's go look at maybe the weekly. All right, waiting on momentum. 2-day squeeze. There you go. I like it on the bigger time frames, but in terms of something setting up right here, right now, that'd be the 2 hour. Big 2 hour squeeze, perfect structure, all the pretty colors, all the bells and whistles. Yeah, nice 2 hour squeeze there for ABBV. And then the entry for Broadcom today. My thinking would be that Broadcom is valid for a push higher off that 4 hour squeeze until and unless they're back below 295. Where in most cases you have momentum, the structure. If they can keep it above that 21 EMA, they're trying to work on a path higher. They pull back, they break it. That's where things get a little bit iffier. So I would say a good entry here in the short term for Broadcom. Really anywhere above that 4 hour 21. And of course, if you're going to make 229, 295 your line in the sand, then you would get your best risk reward, buying that right near 295. But I think above that 4 hour buy zone, it's in pretty good shape. And then so regarding the leaderboard, um, wrapping up a few things here in the background, and hopefully by today, fingers crossed. And then more on that coming later in the week. Few fun things coming here later in the week. And we'll find out maybe a big old QQQ breakout with it. But all right, y'all, I got to jump here. Got to go take the folks in my room and the MTT room through the open. So yeah, be patient. It's very easy Monday morning. You're excited. You're jonesing for the action. Let the market open. Go play your game. Be patient. Be disciplined. And again, I think in terms of the next 2 to 3 to 4 week window, it is the QQQ daily squeeze and the Big Ten basket daily squeeze. Couple of big ones to keep an eye on. But all right, y'all, thank you again. Much appreciated. Heck, make it a good week, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. Adios.